Hey, what's up everybody? Bob Heilig here, your virtual upline. Day number 3 of the challenge begins. And I hope you all aren't getting sick of me yet, spending all this time with me this week. Hopefully you've been getting a lot of value. I promise you today will be no different. Today I'm going to give you a very different mindset when it comes to getting no's in your business. So here's what I know for a fact. If you took me up on my challenge yesterday, if you reached out to those 5 chicken listers, you embraced uncertainty, you shared that third-party tool, here's what I know. You inevitably had some people tell you no. And that's okay. Maybe up until now you looked at the word no as a bad thing. Well, I'm going to completely change that mindset, and I'm just going to say this. If you're someone that struggles with either of these two things, this video is going to be for you. Number 1, what do you say when you're reaching back out to people that have already told you no? So when do you reach back out? And when you do, what do you say? If you struggle with that, this video is going to be for you. And also, if you struggle with relationship building. So how many of you find yourself, you get stuck in the whole relationship building thing and you never know when or, how to bring up your business, and you spend hours and hours every day on Facebook, but you never really get anything done? If you have any of those two problems, I'm telling you, this is going to be a really powerful message. I'm going to teach you a different way of following up that is going to completely transform your business. It is such a different approach than what most people teach and what you've learned before, but I promise you it's going to make a huge difference for you. So, all right, well listen, before we get into the message, let me give you the word of the day. The word today is love. L-O-V-E. The word of the day is love. So make sure you enter that along with the word that came in your email this morning. And so let's talk about no. Let's talk about the word no. And hey, look, I know some of you have been having some issues finding the video in the group. So make sure you tag your team members, and that usually we get everybody on here within the first couple of minutes. But tag your team members, make sure they hop on here. And but let's talk about no. See, here's the mindset shift that I want you to have. All right. I want you to stop looking at when someone tells you no as the end of the recruiting process or the prospecting process, because some of you got your no's yesterday, right? And that's okay. It's not the end. I want you to start looking at no as the beginning of the recruiting process. This is a totally different way to think about your business. And I'll tell you, most people get very discouraged when they hear no because they have scarcity, short-term thinking. Look, you can't approach every interaction with a prospect like it is a do-or-die proposition. It is never no, okay? It's never no. It is always just not yet. See, that's the big thing I want you to start thinking of. Stop hearing no, and when someone tells you no, what I really want you to hear is not yet. I'm not ready yet. See, here's the big thing that I learned about prospecting and recruiting specifically. It's all about timing. And I want to share a quick little analogy with you that I think will resonate with some of you. And here's what it is. I want you to imagine a clock, all right? And on that, and that clock, I want you to envision 12 o'clock, right? Both hands pointed straight up to 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock is the time when a prospect, when everything is lined up and they are ready to not only be open to looking at something like what you do, but they're dissatisfied enough in their life where it hurts enough that they're willing to actually make a change. And here's what happens. We start to go out and we share our business opportunity with people, and we come across people that are at all different parts of that clock. Some of the people we talk to are at 3 o'clock. Some of them are at 4 o'clock. Those are the pretty easy ones to figure out. They're nowhere near 12 o'clock, so we can tell right away they're not interested. But eventually sometimes we come across people that are at like 11 o'clock. Or even, here's the ones that most frustrating. The ones that are at like 11:58. And if you're far enough away, it looks like 12 o'clock and they say all the right things and they even join sometimes, but they get in and they don't do anything because it's not really, they say they're ready, but it don't hurt enough yet in their life. They're not that dissatisfied yet. And what we have to learn how to do is we have to learn how to be patient with people and understand that it is always going to be timing, and you can't make the right time for someone. It just has to be the right time. And I think far too many times when we're prospecting, we always want to operate on our own agenda. Like, yeah, but the time's right for me. I need to recruit. But if it ain't right for them, it doesn't matter about your time. But here's what I want you to understand, going back to this analogy. When someone's at 12 o'clock, that's what you're looking for. And what I want you to understand is this. Almost everyone you know at some point in their life will have a 12 o'clock. Almost everyone you know at some point in their life will have a moment in time where they're at 12 o'clock. And your job is to make sure that when that happens, that you're there and that they feel comfortable enough to reach out to you if necessary because you left the door open. And all of that is driven by the way that you handle the no's. So let's talk a little bit more about this. So timing is one reason why people say no to you. But I would argue there's actually two other potential reasons. And if you're taking notes, I want to make sure you write this down. Here's number one. People will say no to you if you don't yet have a strong enough relationship with them. So where this commonly happens is with new contacts. See, a big mistake that people make is they go right into prospecting somebody the first time they connect with them. Look, here's my advice. And you're here for my advice, so I'm going to give it to you. Never try to prospect someone the very first time you meet them, because you haven't yet established a relationship and rapport, and it's also very inauthentic at times to do that. Now, there are certain platforms where that's more acceptable. I think LinkedIn is an example of where you can be more direct, but most of you are using Facebook, and you should not be trying to prospect people the very first time you meet them on Facebook. To me, it's very short-sighted. All right? Maybe you don't have a good enough relationship yet. Here's the third reason. Maybe you haven't demonstrated enough value to them as a potential business partner. See, this happens a lot with people that we know well or people we haven't spoken to in a while. We haven't demonstrated enough value through things that we do. But it could be timing, it could be relationship, it could be you haven't demonstrated value. Now, here's the good news. All of this stuff is fixable. All of this stuff is good. They're all opportunities. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is this. No is not a bad thing, and you need to start reframing it. But here's the other part. You need to stop taking no so personally. See, no has nothing to do with you most of the time. See, but what we do is when we get a no, we actually think that that's a reflection on our own self-worth. We think that people are saying no to us. We take it personally. We get upset with people. We change our tone and demeanor when they tell us no. We think it means we're less than. Look, that's a very selfish way to look at it. I got to tell you this, it has nothing to do with you. When someone says no, they're not saying no to you. They spend very little time thinking about you. I talked about that yesterday. What they're mostly saying no to is themselves. It's either just not the right time, and there's nothing you can do with that, or they don't see themselves being successful. And look, I get it. There are certain people in your life you really want it for. You're like, but Bob, you don't get it. They need this. They're struggling, and I understand. But you can't want it for someone more than they want it for themselves. And look, the sad reality is there are a lot of volunteer victims out there in the world today. There are a lot of people that are struggling, that are drowning, right? And they're swimming there and they're screaming and kicking their arms, right? And you're on the boat and you got the life raft and they're asking for it and you're throwing them the life raft, but they're not grabbing it because they don't really want it. They're a volunteer victim. They're too afraid to risk trying something that they could fail at. And there is literally nothing you will do or say that will ever change that. So sometimes the best thing you can do for someone else is just let them go, right? We find ourselves spending way too much time trying to convince people that they deserve a better life. Look, if you don't know you deserve a better life, it's not my job to convince you of that, right? And here's the other side of this. We spend so much time trying to defend network marketing. Look, I'll give you a piece of advice. There are very few things that you're going to do in your business that are a bigger waste of your time and energy than trying to defend the profession of network marketing to people that think down on it. You know, I used to do that in the beginning. You know how much time I spend with those people? Zero. I spend zero time, right? So, but you have to understand this is all a part of the process. So let me give you these two important shifts. I want to talk strategy right now on dealing with no. And by the way, I'm going to be giving you some scripts here today. All of these scripts are in the challenge guide, okay? So for today's training, I've got some language and I've got some examples of scripts that you're going to want because your homework today is going to require you to have some of this language that I'm going to go over. Here's tip number one I want to give you when we talk about dealing with no. You must start going for no earlier. Look, I want you to make it a goal to fail faster and fail sooner. I want you to start looking like, go ahead, give me no so I can start doing the real work. See, because when we stop being so afraid of no, when we stop being so afraid of being rejected, you're like, let me get that no so I can really start recruiting them. See, some of you don't get this part. Right? You're falling into the trap of relationship building, right? You're spending hours a day messaging prospects, right? And you're like, well, I can't bring my business up yet. I got to build a relationship. But you're never doing it. You're just building relationships with people. Look, I got news for you. You spent your whole life building relationships with people. Now it's time to start cashing in some of the chips here with people. You have to get out of this idea of things need to be perfect. Because really all it is, it's certainty. Like if you're afraid to bring up your business because you want to build a relationship, that's you clinging to certainty. See, but what do? We create all these stories. We create these stories about why we can't bring it up yet, right? We say things like, well, I don't have the right language, or I need that right script, or, I don't have the right tool yet, or I just haven't found the right moment. I gotta wait for that perfect time for me to bring it up, or, I don't want them to be offended. I haven't reached out to them in like a year. So I'm gonna just spend the next 3 months building a relationship and then I'll bring my business up. But that never happens because there's always some other kind of excuse, right? Look, I want you to realize what this is. Because in our community, we teach this whole idea of the stories you create. When you make up a story that justifies you not taking action, we call that a red light. And you create red light stories all the time that keep you stuck in your business. Here's the only difference between you and people that succeed. They make up stories that cause them to take action. They're called green lights. And here's the crazy thing. In either case, you just made it up. You're making stuff up that's justifying you not facing your fear. What if you started making up better stories? What if instead of saying, well, I can't bring that up to them, Bob, because I haven't talked to them in a year. What are they going to think about me? What if you made up the story? Well, shoot, I got to bring this up to them because you want to know what? If this goes half as well as I think it is, and I run into them a year from now, and they say, well, why didn't you? And I tell them how great things are going, and they say, well, why didn't you think of me? How's that going to feel? See, it's all about the stories that you tell yourself around what you do. But you must learn to start going for no earlier. Stop looking at it like it's an all or nothing proposition and stop looking at it like it is the end. It is the beginning. Here's where it will only be an issue. It's only going to be an issue for you is if they tell you no and that's the last time that they hear from you. That's the only time it's going to be an issue. See, this is a big mistake that some of you are making. People tell you no, and then that's it. You're ghost. Well, guess what? Now it's very clear to me that you were only in it because you wanted something out of me, right? So this is where we're talking about shifting your mindset. And then this whole get offended, right? Because aren't we so worried about judgments and what other people think of us? Like that's what keeps us from doing what we know we need to do. Well, I got news for you. And I talked about this at the end of the video yesterday in the Q&A. If you think enough of someone else to reach out to them, to share your products and your opportunity, which could potentially transform and enhance their life, if you think enough of someone to do that, and you do it in a way that's professional, right? You're not one of those slimy salespeople that are like spamming. Like you do it from a genuine place of authenticity and care and love. If you do that and someone gets offended, then I got news for you. That person was never a friend anyway. And you don't need that person in your life anyway. And you just did yourself a favor by finding out their true character and who they really are. So you need to have the confidence to know that if you come from a place of love and care and compassion, you do it the right way, and you think enough of someone else to help them, they tell you no has nothing to do with you. So that's the first thing. You must start going for no earlier. All right, here's the second point. And this one here, you guys are going to love this. This is going to be so big for your business, okay? Make sure you tag your team in the video here so that they don't miss this one. So what do you do if someone tells you no? Strategically, what do I do after that? Well, my second tip for you is this. You must learn to start giving more than you try to take. All right? I want to introduce you to a concept that I teach a lot. It's called relational accounts. And if you're struggling in your business, I promise you this is at play for you and you don't even realize. See, here's the way relational accounts work. They're just like bank accounts. As we go through our life, we generally slant to either being a giver or a taker. Now, when I say taker, I don't mean that there's any ill intent or that you're a bad person. You just either generally go out of your way for others and you help them and you're there for them, or you kind of don't. And what happens is this. You have a relational account with every single person in your life. You have a relational account with every person that's, you know. So I have a relational account with every single one of you, and I don't know 99.9999% of you. But you want to know what? Because you watch this video, and because I do this training for free to try to help enhance your life, I just made a huge deposit in our relational account. See, because this is the way this works. Every time you do something for someone else, you're making a deposit in that account. People that are family and friends and loved ones and coworkers, right? You go out of your way to just be there for them. Show them that you care, right? You call them out of the blue to say, hey, how are you? You're there when they need you. You're helping. You share content on social media. That's not just selling. It's trying to help people. Every time you do that and it is received by someone else, you just made a deposit in that account. And here's the way that this works. You approach them with your network marketing products or your business. You ask them to support you. You ask them to try the product. Here's what you're doing. You're trying to make a withdrawal from that account. And if you've not made deposits over time, you are not going to have anything to withdraw. And it works just like a bank account. You can't get mad at the teller because you go to the window and you say, hey, cash this check. And she's like, well, ma'am or sir, you've never deposited anything. You can't tell the teller that they're stupid or that there's something wrong with them, but that's what some of you are doing. See, that's what some of you don't understand. You've not made the necessary deposits in the relational accounts that you have with people. And what we eventually realize is this. Our network ultimately determines our net worth. And I'm not sharing this idea with you to try to discourage some of you because it doesn't. Here's the beauty of this. Once you understand what I'm teaching you, it doesn't matter how bad you've been. You can start doing things the right way to leverage it in your favor. But here's the harsh reality. And I just want to, you need to the sooner you can understand this, the better. You're either going to pay the price or reap the rewards of the life that you have lived prior to joining your network marketing business. And that's hard sometimes for people to realize, but it also explains why some people join their business and they skyrocket to the top of the company faster than others because they most likely have done better work in this area. But any of you can change this. So you got to start to learn to invest into your network. I'm going to teach you how to do that right now. But before I do that, I want to address something that might be coming up for some of you. Maybe you're thinking, Bob, I don't know if I'm a giver or a taker. I'm not sure. Let me give you some telltale signs. And remember, taker doesn't mean you're a bad person. I bet you when I go through these things right now, most of you just didn't even know any better. Your heart's in the right place. You love and you care for people. You just weren't employing the right strategies. Here's how you know if you're a taker. If most of your posts on your social media are just you trying to sell and promote, it's all on your agenda, you're a taker. If you copy and paste, pitch people the copy and paste strategy of recruiting, you're a taker. If you this is a big one, so listen close to this. This is the key here to you being better. If you only reach out to people you know when you want to prospect them, you are a taker. Let me ask you it's kind of a scary question. When was the last time that you called someone that you knew and it was not about your products or your business? Or how about this? You want me ask an even scarier question? Because here's what you don't realize. You've got relational accounts with the people that are on your team. And you better not take people for granted, because that's when we start losing people. How about an even scarier question? When's the last time you called someone on your team and it wasn't about business? Oh, you had to go there, Bob? That's a scary question to ask yourself. Listen, this is working in your life right now, whether you realize it or you want to admit it or not. But here's the beauty. You can start changing. You can start loving on people and caring for them more and having empathy and compassion. And instead of you trying to be interesting all the time, look at me, I'm a great leader, I'm so successful. How about you start being interested in other people? Because being interested will make you 100 times more than you trying to be interesting to other people. That's a trap on social media today. But let's get into this strategy right now. I call this value-driven follow-ups. This is the key to you starting to get better results in your existing network. Okay? Because remember, it's never no, it's not now. So this is a perfect strategy for anyone that has told you no before. So you're like, Bob, they told me no. How do I go back to them? Value-driven follow-up. Here's how this works. Okay? Now, I want you to understand though, if you've never asked them, if they haven't given you a no first, you need to get the no before you build the relationship. Now, if it's a brand new person, this is the only difference. If it is a brand new person, you just connected with me on social media, I would rather have you do this before you ask me about your business. But if I'm somebody you already know, regardless of how long it's been, you need to get a no first. All right? So be clear on that. Here's how this works. So a value-driven follow-up is you are reconnecting with someone. Here's the key. You are not trying to prospect them. Now, this is going to be really hard for you, because here's what the thing, like we all have, and I had it too. We have this network marketing part of our brain that is really hard for us to turn off. And it's like when we're in an interaction with someone, we can't not ask them or prospect them or bring up our stuff. And even if they're giving us like the doors open, it's so hard for us to not just like jump on them like they're a piece of meat. You got to learn how to turn that part of your brain off. Okay? As much as you want to. Even if they say, how's business? Say it's great. Hey, but more importantly, let's talk about you. I'm telling you, resist the urge, because it's going to be there for some of you. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach back out to someone, and I just want you to reconnect with them. Now, be strategic when you do this, right? Find some of your best prospects to do this with, because it is a little time intensive. So you want to make sure that it's worth the investment, that you think this person could be a great prospect. But here's what I want you to do. Reach back out to them. I want you to show genuine care and concern for them. Just say, hey, Heather, how are you? What's happening in your life? Now, I will tell you, doing this by phone is always the best way. So if I could say, hey, Heather, let's hop on the phone and catch up. Look, those calls are fine because you're not going to bring up your business. So you don't have to go into the call in cold sweats with an anxiety attack of what you're going to say. Just be a person. Like, care for them. Ask them questions. Be interested in them, right? Doing it by phone, best way. If you can't do it by phone, at least do it through Facebook voice messages because that will personalize it more than just messaging, all right? So what I want you to do is I just want you to show interest in them. I want you to ask them questions, right? I want you to find out what's happening in their life. Here's what you're looking for. You're looking for a pain point. You're looking for something that they're dissatisfied about. Ask them, how's work? How's your family? What's happening? What's new? What's changed? Look, here's what I know about people. People are very quick to tell you what they're not happy about. The job, I'm just not happy at work, or yeah, I'm trying to lose some weight this year or whatever. Like if you talk to people enough and you show interest, they're going to eventually share something with you that you'll be like, okay, that's what you're listening for. You're listening for something that could be a potential opportunity for you to help them. All right? Now, here's the key though. You don't want to bring up your business. You're looking for something that when you leave that conversation, you could then find a piece of content. It could be let's say that, let me give you an example. Let's say that Heather tells me, she's a friend of mine. She's like, yeah, Bob, I've been on this new weight loss. I've been eating paleo and I've been working out. And I'm just like, for me this year, I need to get my health back, right? And I'm like, okay, boom, that's important to her. So I talk to her, and when I get off the phone with her, and when I stop those messages, I ask myself, I say, okay, how could I help Heather solve that problem in her life? How could I add value to her? Because I know this, if I could share something with her that shows that I listened to her, right? If I could find a Facebook Live, it might even be a live that I did, right? You might send her one of your own lives or someone else's live or a book or a podcast or something else, right? Find something that you could genuinely help her with and say, hey, Heather, and a couple of days later, reach out and say, hey, Heather, could just be my message. Hey, I was thinking about our conversation the other day, and I came across, I had actually watched this video, or I just did a video about something that I learned, and I wanted to send it to you because I really think it could help you. And here's the key. Be specific. I want you to pay specific attention to this meal plan or this exercise or this thing. I want you to pay attention to that because I think it can help you. There's no pitch at the other end. I'm just leading with value. I'm coming from a place of service and love and caring and compassion. And I just say, hey, here it is. Let me know what you think. And here's what I can promise you. Okay? I guarantee you, you do that to Heather. Whether Heather watches that video or not, it doesn't matter. You just made a humongous deposit in that relational account. You thought enough of her to reach back out and give her something to help her. I'm telling you, this here works amazingly well. But here's the catch though, okay? There's always a catch. The catch is this. The catch is it has to be for real. The catch is it can't just be a business strategy. Now here's what's going to weed some of you out. Those of you that don't have the right heart and soul, those of you that aren't building a business from love, you'll do it only for a couple of weeks. And if you don't see the result right away, you'll say, this stuff doesn't work because it's just a business strategy for you. It's inauthentic. But if you are leading from a place of love, and love is the foundation of your business, and you truly are doing it. Now look, the fact that it can help your business, there's nothing, that's obviously a plus, but you're doing it because it's more than a business strategy, it's part of who you are. You do want to make a difference for other people. That's the reason why you're in this profession. If you do it for that reason, you will not be focused on the short-term result because you have faith and you know that if you put enough out there into the world, right? If you serve enough people the way that God asks us to be servants to others, to help, to go out and help people, that's going to come back to you. See, this is built off of, spiritual law, a universal law. It's called the principle of reciprocity. And here's what the principle of reciprocity says, is that when something does something for you, that they feel indebted to do something back, right? Or what God says is, Whatever you give to others, you get back in return, right? It's just it's what we've been called to do in our lives. And I'm telling you, this right here, this is not like the short term, like do this and get that, but I promise you this. If you make this strategy, value-driven follow-ups, a normal part of your weekly routine, okay? If you're always looking to identify people, I'm telling you, it's going to take all the pressure off of you reaching back out. And here's what magically will happen. Opportunities will start to come. And they come from places that you can't even see right now. But that's really the value in doing this. And I promise you, you make this a regular part of your week, it's going to make all the difference in the world for you. When you go to make those withdrawals, those accounts are going to be full. And it's going to reap rewards for you in your business. So here's the plan. Let me give you the plan. Number one, we got to go for no first. Get no. Fail faster. Get no earlier. That's the beginning of the process. If it's somebody you just connected with, a brand new person, I don't want you to go for no right away. I want you to find a way to add value to them. Do some sort of a value-driven, it's not a follow-up technically, but find a way to add value to their life using this strategy. And then you can, several weeks later, go for the no. Number three, if it's somebody you've never talked to yet, you need to get that no right away and then start building the relationship and then start the process from there. Here's the homework for tonight. I want you to find 3 people. 3 people that have already told you no. 3 good quality prospects that you've talked to that have told you no at any point in your life. Could have been somebody yesterday, right? Now, could have been somebody yesterday that you do know something about them, right? But I want you to find 3 people and I want you to reach out and connect with them and I want you to use this strategy. I want you to get on the phone with them, at very least voice message with them, show interest, find out what's happening in their life, pay close attention, listen to them. See if there's some way or something you can do to help them. It's not going to work out perfectly every time, but if you ask enough questions and you really listen to people, you'll find something you can do to help them with. And I want you to find that thing and I want you to execute this strategy. If you have something right away that you can send over to them today, that's great. If you want to wait a couple of days, that's fine too. But I at least want you to initiate the strategy today with 3 people. Be strategic. Pick 3 really good prospects, people you would love to have in your business, and start depositing into those accounts. So once again, the language that I gave you today, those examples are in the guide. So you can have some examples of language. But listen, at the end of the day, let's be real. Do you really need a script to love people, to care about them? Just show up with the right heart, with the right soul, wanting to be there for them. And I'm telling you, that approach is going to reap more dividends and rewards for your business than any script ever will. But I do have some stuff in there to help you. All right, cool. So the word of the day was love. I saw some people ask that. And let's take some questions. All right, let's take some questions today. What questions do you have about this strategy? Let me see if I can scroll back here. How do you get the no? So Barbara says, how do you get the first no and then build a relationship? You ask them if they're interested, Barbara. Would you be interested in taking a look at something? Do you know anybody that's looking for something? You got to ask them. I gave you the scripts in day 1. So you ask using the scripts that I gave you in day 1, get a no, and then go to work. So that's what you do. And by the way, this is also the reason why I'm such a big proponent of live video. Because with the press of a button, I just deposited into 1,600 relational accounts with one press of a button on a video. This is the reason why I'm so passionate about teaching people to create content in the form of video that empowers people and helps them. So, all right, what do we got here? So Jennifer says, can it be as simple as helping them with a move? Absolutely. I would argue that's not very simple. That requires a lot more time and effort. Jennifer, even a call, like even calling someone up and saying, hey, I was thinking about you the other day. How are you? You just deposited in that account, just showing interest, showing that you care for someone else. So it could be something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything huge. Crystal says, what do you do back when you never hear back from people? You move on. That's it. You move on. Move on. Let's see here. When do we bring up? So Liliana says, when do we bring up our business with people we meet on Facebook? So Liliana, this is what I just said. With brand new people, never try to prospect them in the first meeting, right? Hey, Liliana, great to connect with you. Maybe I see we have some mutual friends, or you're from here. I reference something. I just start a conversation, right? I want to try to find a way to get to know you. Now, here's the thing. If you facilitate that interaction, Facebook is going to pick up on that. They're going to pick up on that. And when you do a live video, let's say, there's a good chance they'll see it because of the algorithm. Or here's what you could do. After you have that initial just pleasantry and say, hey, great to connect with you, go to their profile, comment on some of their posts, get them commenting back. This will work the algorithm in your favor even more. So when you go live, they're going to start seeing your videos. They're going to start seeing your posts. You're going to start building a relationship with them through your content. Find out something about them. Go out of your way to look for something that you can help them with. So that's what I would do. Now, the question is, but at what point do we bring up the business? I don't know. It might be a week later, it might be 2 weeks, it might be a month. It depends on how many times you interact with them in that particular time frame. So, let's see here. So Carrie has signed up a new team member each day of this training. Carrie, amazing job. So excited for you. So great work. Hey, I don't know if anybody on the team is paying attention, but can we find Carrie on there and maybe reach out to her and get a testimonial from her? I think that'd be great. So Laura says, what do you recommend when you get crickets? Well, Laura, if you get crickets, then that means you either did it the wrong way or it's just not the right time for them. So circle back to them or get creative. Don't send another message to them. Start commenting on their posts. See if they interact with you there. You know, you'll find the number one place you build relationships with people on Facebook is not through instant messenger. It's through the comments of their posts. So just get creative and find a different way to communicate with them. Stephanie, you can go backwards and put the words in. As long as you have all the words inputted by the end of this week, you'll be fine for the contest. Let's see here. Melanie says, how do you keep up with the people that we message to do follow-ups? Melanie, you know, your guess is as good as mine on that one. You just have to find a system that works for you. I'll tell you this, you should have so many problems as to not be able to keep up with all the people that you're prospecting on social media. You know, I think that, I'm kind of joking, but I think the beauty of Facebook is you can go back and look at your past conversations. So I'm not going to tell you like the perfect way of following up because there isn't one. You just have to find something that works for you, whether it's a digital contact management system, whether it's written, you know, find something. But look, this is a good problem to have. It is a good problem for you to not be able to keep up with people. I'll tell you this. If you got so much going on that you forget to follow up with someone that was interested, they're still going to be interested a week or two later when you circle back to them. Like that's not going to change anything, but I'm going to tell you what you do. And I'm not saying this is what you do, but I'm going to tell you what people do because this is what I used to do. I used to create a red light story that, well, I can't keep working because I'm not going to be able to follow up with everyone. So I would work and then I would immediately pull back. I would self-sabotage because I created this story. Well, I can't follow up with everybody the right way. That was a red light story, keeping me from doing what I needed to do to be successful. Trust me, it will sort itself out. The people that are really interested, they will seek you out if that is the case. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. That's a good problem for you to have in your business. Look, you should feel a little overwhelmed with everything you have going on. That means that you're working hard enough. So that would be my piece of advice. Let's see here. So Meredith says, with someone who was close to you a while ago, you haven't talked to in a long time, do you recommend starting a relationship over? Meredith, I would not, no. Because if I still had a relationship with you at some point, I can at least get the no earlier, at least ask, and then I can go into relationship building. Don't build the relationship, get the no sooner, and then build the relationship, right? Because who knows? What if they're interested, right? I mean, that would be not such a bad thing. Or, God forbid, what if you don't ask because you're building the relationship and someone else asks them and they join someone else's business? Look, if you ain't been around long enough to have that happen to you, trust me, that is not a very good thing. And here's the other thing. Let me say this. Most of my best people that I personally knew, I don't think a single one of them said yes to me the first time I talked to them. I had people that said no to me 3, 4, 5, 6. One of my best leaders ever, it took me 2 years to recruit them. Of every 3 to 4 months going back. But I wasn't just going back saying, hey, are you interested? Are you interested? Are you interested? No, I was going back just to reconnect. I did a lot of this stuff naturally before I even really identified it as a strategy, because I understood this intuitively, that it was about relationships. So, Linda, there is no answer how long you build a relationship. Once again, that is a certainty question. That is a certainty question. Okay? You build the relationship. At some point, you make the ask. If it's not a yes, you just keep building the relationship. Like, look, the business that we all have chosen, network marketing, is a relationship business. All businesses arguably are relationship businesses, but your business is more of a relationship business than almost any other that I could think of because of the nature of the business. So you never stop building relationships, right? It's not a business exchange. It's a way of being. It's who you are. Now, having said that, you do need to be strategic because you do have a limited amount of time and energy. So you try to strategically build relationships and then you leverage technology. You do things like live video. See, because I can do live video and I can build relationships with thousands of people at a time by leveraging technology. So you have to make sure you have a balance between those two things. So, all right, couple more questions here. Handwritten note would be amazing, Patrice. I mean, that's such a nice touch to send somebody a handwritten note. Yeah, Lisa, Lisa, if you have somebody that's not said no to you yet, you could reach out to them and use the value-driven follow-up if you want. Just make sure that pretty quickly you're going to follow up and make the ask, all right? I prefer it with somebody that already told you no, because I'd rather have you get the no with that person, right? Like, why don't you just go for the no sooner? But I guess, if that's all you have the option to do, then you can do that. All right, one more question here. So Maya says that the PDF is telling her to go for 10 no's this week. So that is the case, Maya. So we're trying to push you. I just want you to focus on 3 for today because I want to make it doable. But I want to challenge you to continue to do this strategy even after this training is over. So that's why we have that in there for you. Deborah, I would go for a no earlier, even if I haven't talked to you in 5 years. It wouldn't be the first message because I never try to prospect somebody in the first message. First message is, hey, Deborah, it's been a while. How are you? I was thinking about you the other day. And then I wait for you to respond. Because here's what I can guarantee you. If you don't respond to that message, you sure as heck ain't responding to some sales message. So you need to make it conversational. I give you the scripts in day 1. Use those scripts, okay? All right, we got one more question here. Let's see here. Okay, so somebody says, after we get no, people become defensive and they start avoiding us because they keep expecting sales pitch. So, Delita, that's a red light story that you just created for yourself. So the story that you've created is that prospecting is difficult, that you're bothering people. And I can promise you, if that's the story that you have, prospecting will remain difficult for you. I would argue that if you do it the right way, if you don't make yourself the expert, if you don't sell and spam people and message them with a link and trying to recruit them if you're a human being and you're conversational and you're a professional and you do it from a place of love, you're not going to turn people off. No is not a bad thing. No has nothing to do with you. So I think you need to look really closely at the way you're approaching people, because if that's happening consistently to you, then that tells me you've got the wrong approach. Okay? And I'm not trying to pick on you, because it's probably not your fault, because that's probably just what was taught to you. But now you know better, so there's no more excuses for you making the same mistakes. Now you've got a responsibility to be different. We all have a responsibility to be better. Okay? We all have a responsibility. Look, part of the problem with our profession, if I'm going to be real with you for a second, the people you know, they don't look down on network marketing. People are so about, I'm so afraid to say network marketing. People don't even know what network marketing is. They look down on network marketers that don't know how to operate their business the right way. They look down on people that are only in it for themselves, that just want to practice selling a quick buck, right? That are spammy and salesy and push, and they don't care about other people. And unfortunately, a lot of people have had bad experiences with those kinds of people. Well, guess what? I'm trying to create a community where that doesn't exist. I'm trying to help create a community that is founded on love and purpose and mission. And understand that this is not just like something that sounds nice. Because here's one of the biggest realizations I ever had. And I want to end this video with this because I don't want this to go too long. The income that you earn in your business will be a byproduct of the impact that you make in the lives of other people. This is not just something that sounds nice and makes you feel good. This is the best business strategy out there today. That was a lot of claps in a row. That was probably too many. This is the best business strategy out there today. And if we want to elevate this profession, if we want to transform our own businesses and our lives and really change the way people look at us, we need to start operating our businesses differently. And it starts from operating it from the foundation of love, not fear, and realizing it's not just about becoming a pro. Because I know a lot of pros that are not such great people and still don't give their professions the best reputation. Sure, being a pro and acquiring skills is important, but there's an additional layer to this that is way more important. Who is the person that you are being in your business? And I mentioned earlier, I want to end with this. I mentioned earlier that on Friday, I'm going to be making an exciting announcement. And I'm going to be offering an opportunity to all of you. And who I'm speaking to now is the people that resonate with this part of my discussion about it's really more who is the person that you are being. Yes, the skills are important, but if you're somebody that is really purpose-driven, mission-driven, you know, yes, you want to make a lot of money. Yes, you want financial freedom, but you know that there's a much bigger reason why you're in this profession. If that's you, then Friday is going to be a huge day. It's going to be a potentially life-changing day for a lot of you. So just a heads up, something exciting is coming on Friday. But I hope you got some value out of the message today. And I can tell you, tomorrow and Friday, the best is yet to come. All right? The best is yet to come. Tomorrow, we are going to be digging deep into strategy. So like now that you've shared your third-party tool with someone, you probably have a follow-up coming up where you got to actually be like, what did you think? Tomorrow, I'm going to give you the exact framework on how to run that follow-up and how to double or triple your closing ratio almost overnight by just doing one thing differently. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So have a great day, everybody. I love you. Appreciate you being here. Hope you got some value out of the message today. Get out there, find your 3 people, do your homework. Have a great night. See ya.